going on, guys, and welcome back to the E36 M3 Project Maine, as I have now dubbed it. I'm shooting on a new camera. I got a GoPro, which should hopefully make action shots and, you know, working underneath the car a little bit easier. So today we're just gonna kind of do a short video. I kind of just want to document where we're starting at with this car, and because we're gonna start making progress really quickly. So I kind of just want to go over the car with you guys, show you guys what we're working with, what we're gonna do, what round one entails, and yeah, should be pretty straightforward. So let's go ahead and get started. So first of all, let's go ahead and start up top. So as you can see, we've actually got some really nice headers in here, so we don't need to do anything like that. And as a matter of fact, the more you look around, the more you'll realize this car is pretty much full bolt-on already. That over there, that is actually a Dynon throttle body, which is really cool. It's a big bore throttle body. We've already got a Porsche 3.5 inch, or either Porsche or a 540i mass airflow sensor. Already got an AFE intake with a demolished filter, but I have a new one of those waiting. Got the M50 manifold. The exhaust actually runs all the way back. It's an active auto work setup from front to back, so that's pretty good. What is not so good is, as you can see, there's no fan, which is fine for where this car came from, but definitely not down here in Mississippi. Probably the only severe maintenance issue I can see is, if you can see, the crankcase vent hose is actually taped up. It's leaking, and it's actually leaking pretty bad. And once we get underneath the car, you'll truly see. So other than that, the cooling system, I'm just gonna redo it. I'm gonna go ahead and do the Stewart water pump. But it already has a nice CSF radiator, so that's good. But yeah, I mean, the engine bay's fresh. Oh, here's the only other thing. If you look right here, hopefully you'll be able to see that. Right along that spot right there, yeah, there is a crack in this strut tower. Unfortunately, these coilovers are Broadway static coilovers, and they were run without the reinforcement plate, as you can see. So I'll put the reinforcement plate in, but regardless, I definitely need to get that crack fixed. So that'll be addressed. But otherwise, I mean, after we clean this engine bay, it's actually pretty nice. So let's go ahead and move down here. All right, so this is where things get interesting. So as we get up underneath the car, you can see this car has lived a bit of a crusty life. So everything you can see here, though, is probably relatively normal if you have any experience with E36s. It's all relatively normal for what you see on them. Where things get not so normal is when you get over here. So I'm gonna get this out of the way. I knew about this when I bought the car, okay? So you can see there's a little bit of an unfamiliar plate there, and you might be wondering, well, why is that there? And then you look right here, and you start to see some of them, some issues here. So unfortunately, if I can get up underneath here, if we pull this plate back, yeah, there's just nothing there. So that is a bit unfortunate, but what I'm thinking here is that since this is a relatively flat area, theoretically, we should be able to just weld in a flat piece of sheet metal, just cut out all the affected area. So all this crap, cut all that out, clean it up. We'll be able to actually go into the second layer back there and address any surface rust, because a lot of that actually is surface rust. And then after that, we should be pretty much good. So if you look at the rest of the chassis, you'll see that it's actually not bad at all. You can see some of the body plugs. They're a bit rusty. The frame rails, of course, this car is on Broadways. Are you kidding me? Like, duh, it's got a bit of rust on the frame rails, but these frame rails are actually in nicer condition than that car's, because they haven't been just annihilated and smashed in. Moving a little bit further over here, you can definitely see we have some oil leaks to address, but once I get to the other side, I'll actually show you where I believe that's coming from. You can see the block is kind of crusty. But, you know, again, to be expected, age of the vehicle and mileage. You can see we got a stainless clutch line already. That's cool. The drain plug, or that's probably the selector shaft seal in the transmission's leaking, and it's all crusty over there. But anyways, let me go ahead and move to the other side so I can kind of match up this comparison over there. So one more thing I just want to mention is, as you can see, someone really wanted to save these fender liners. that are just completely destroyed. All sorts of weird body shop bracketry going on in here and just stuff that's just not right. So I'm definitely gonna fix all that, but that's not huge priority by comparison to a lot of the mechanical stuff. As you can see, there's a bit of surface rust and all this stuff, but it's not terrible. The dipstick tube is definitely leaking. If you look up in there, you can clearly see that it definitely has some crap in it. That's gonna be sorted very soon though, just because I'm actually about to pull the oil pan to do the oil pump nut. Now, if we get up underneath here, you can also see it's on rev shift engine mounts, so that's cool. But if you look up here, you can pretty much clearly see it looks like a lot of the oil is coming from that crankcase vent hose. You see it? That's where I think most of it is coming from, to be honest with you. And as you can see, that's clearly been leaking a long time, and duh, of course the power steering is leaking as well. What E36 isn't? Before I get started on all this, I'm going to go to town with brake cleaner on this just to avoid having it all over myself. So anyways, that's really the front end. The drive shaft has been replaced and so has the guibo, so we don't even need to look at that. You can see the active auto work exhaust down here, so that's really cool. This fuel filter cover, I'm gonna actually take that to get powder coated as well. All these crusty bolts, I know you're probably thinking, oh, these are gonna suck when you take them out. Well, they're only gonna be taken out once because I am not putting those back in. Definitely will replace every single bolt that I go through. So let's see, all the hard lines, everything look really good. I'll give you guys a closer view of those in a second, but yeah, I don't know what brand control arm bushings these are, but they look okay. The ball joints on the control arms also look okay. The boots on the sway bar end links. The Broadways are actually a bit crusty, but I mean, considering the life that they've lived, I'll take it. I'll take it all day, every day. This sway bar is definitely aftermarket, and the way I know that is because if you can see, there's 2 holes on it. And it looks huge by comparison to what I standard see on E36 sway bars. So yeah, I think that should be it for the front end. So yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the back end. All right, so we're on the back end driver's side, and I'll just kind of show you guys, we're actually doing pretty good in these rear quarters. There's a bit of rot right there, but that's just surface. So that should be repairable. You can see there's rub marks. Someone has definitely rolled and pulled these fenders, which I'm not a huge fan of. I really prefer just to cut out this inner lip and you get the same amount of clearance without having to affect the body from the outside. But alas, that's what we're working with. You can see, I can't tell what kind of bushings these are. I definitely think they're an aftermarket poly, so those will be replaced with a monoball because I prefer that greatly. But these trailing arms, as much surface rust is on them, they're actually in pretty good shape. So I think with a bit of powder coat, these should be totally salvageable. As you can see, we've got the exhaust, and you can start to see we get into some of the not so fun stuff when you start to look at this subframe. We'll get to that in a second though. If you look up here, you'll see that clearly these rear shock mounts are not blown out. However, I have not checked to see if they have the plates on top, but I would assume that they do because if there's a crack on the front strut towers, usually these would go long before that. So that's good news. Coming back underneath here, as you can see, we have the cool, much stronger E36 M3 axles, which is a good plus. We've got some brand of camber arm. I'm honestly not sure. These honestly kind of look like the ones UUC used to sell or still sells, but don't quote me on that. Okay, here's where we get into the less happy. So as you can see, this subframe is in bad shape. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. The diff is in bad shape too, but I know that those are really solid. You could probably sandblast that, powder coat it, good to go. The subframe, however, yeah. I'm honestly thinking I'm gonna end up replacing this subframe just with one from a parts car. I'll keep everything else and salvage it, but like, yeah, I just think that there's gotta be some structure damage to this thing that the rot has penetrated through. So, bit of a bummer there, but hey, it is what it is. I'm gonna be taking it out to do the bushings anyways, because as you can see, those are definitely factory rubber bushings and they're in terrible shape. That is concerning. That tells me that at some point or another, this thing had a diff bolt break, which is all too common, but good news is that I think that someone probably drilled that out and took the threads out and just decided on a nut. The good news with this is I actually planned on taking this out and doing the 14mm bolt upgrade anyways, so I'll drill that hole out anyways to a larger size, so that's perfectly fine with me. Something cool you may not know, if you look up in there, if you know what these pockets look like, the subframe mount pockets on most E36s, that is actually factory reinforced. On 97 plus M3s, or it might be 96, don't quote me on that, but so that's one thing we don't have to do. That's always nice. I'll refresh this diff. I don't know if I'm gonna open it up and do like clutches and all that just yet. I really wanna see if it locks up nice already, but like, I need to get it cleaned up, and like that speed sensor, like holy crap. That is gonna be a disaster to take out, but it is what it is. That's the car we got. So everything else though, these dust shields are crusty, but like those will get replaced. The calipers will be powder coated. The spring perches will be powder coated. I mean, yeah, like everything else though, totally salvageable. This exhaust is in fantastic shape. I'm really happy about that because it sounds awesome. As you can see, we have a 4-bolt drive shaft, which is awesome because the 6-bolt U-joint or the 6-bolt CV joints are kind of a pain in the butt. We have a bit of rot right here, which is a bit unfortunate, but I know once I take that bracket down, you know what I just realized? That is not even attached. Those are supposed to be down there. Oh boy. Anyways, so I'll get that fixed. As you can see though, we've got a, wow. You know what I just realized? You wanna tell me the crankcase vent is bad? Look at how much oil is coming out of the exhaust right there. That's a bit peculiar. Anyways, moving on. So that's kind of what we're working with this E36. Fuel tank straps are all right. Oh, I said the hard lines are good. That is concerning. Yeah, I'm gonna need to wire wheel that and get that addressed. But yeah, guys, that's what we're working with here. So anyways, so that's the condition of the E36 as we begin. Is it great? No. Am I gonna make it great? Without a shadow of a doubt. So if I can do this one, I can do this one. Let's just get that out of the way. I know that it looks bad, but I really wanted something that was gonna be a big project and something to get me involved again and to give me that same spirit I had with this one. And whether it's gonna be a drift car or not, the rust and stuff, we have to address that before we go on track, just because otherwise it won't necessarily be structurally sound, and I don't wanna cause other issues that could be avoided if I just take the time now to get it addressed. So I wanted to get a quick upload out for you guys. I know this is a bit of a different style than my typical videos. We didn't use the big camera, and I know it probably doesn't look as good, but I hope you guys enjoyed this. I wanna get more regular uploads on the channel. But anyways, yeah. So I'm actually right now, not in your time, but in my time, I'm actually about to start on the oil pan, or I say the oil pan, the oil pump nut, dropping the front subframe, the oil pan, get everything pulled out. Also get everything pulled out for powder coat. So I got a lot of work to do. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started, but that's what we're working with. That's my E36 M3. I hope you guys are excited for the project, and just for the ones of you who stuck around to the end of the video, these are all of the parts that we are working with. So as you can see, we got everything for the cooling fan. I've got all sorts of little small things. We've got Condor Speed Shop engine mounts. This is all the stuff for the oil pan. This is a factory reinforced Z3 pickup tube. The front subframe bolts, because if I'm not mistaken, these are one of the only torque to yield bolts on the whole chassis. And I reused them on that, but they didn't feel great. So I wanted to do them right this time around. Spark plugs, we've got fluids. We got the whole crankcase vent system because that is just shot on this car. Yeah, I mean, we've got a bunch of trim, got the alternator duct, wiper blades, just all sorts of stuff, but that's basically what we got coming up. So if you guys are excited, please give this video a like, subscribe, and keep your heads up, and I hope you guys are having a great day. There's more coming soon. We're gonna turn this thing into a ripper. I promise you guys this thing's gonna be great. Just have a little faith in me. Have a little faith in me. Hope you guys have enjoyed. Have a great day. I'll see you guys in the next one.
Last century.